and we often have the same ones. One of mine that I struggle with at this very point is perfection. Somebody might get me to do a design, a flyer, a website, or whatever the case may be, and it might should only take 2 hours to do. But the more I learn about different ways of making this better, they might have only paid for this, but it might be a 2 hour project and I took 5 hours. Now, I don't know if that's
Welcome to Just Men, a life changing program that resonates hope as well as encouragement. The program that gives you information and inspiration for the glory of God. I'm your host, Jeff Tate, and thank you for joining Just Men. On today's program, we have a very special guest. It's his first time being on Just Men. Please welcome Curtis Smith, creator of Jester Art. Brother Curtis, welcome to Just Men.
I appreciate that.
Oh man, I'm telling you, it's an honor. And let me say on the onset that you add value to Just Men, and we're grateful for you to be on here, brother. And as you would say, man, we're gonna dive deep.
Let's do it.
And before we start turning the pages of your life, just share a little bit about who is Curtis Smith.
Who is Curtis Smith? Well, besides the fact being me, um, Curtis Smith, and I like to consider myself just an artist, really. From East Nashville. I love what I do. I love to create art. I've been doing it started back in 2009 and up to this point, just doing different things, meeting different people. Um, I like to consider myself just a mixture of my mother and my father. Obviously, my father, barber, known to make money. My mom, organizer, schedule. I like to be able to be both of those. Be able to run my own business, run my schedules, organize, and things of that sort. So, I guess that's why I'm just an artist.
Yeah, what's
Yeah.
good? Let's dive a little bit back. Take me back
Let's
a
do
little
it.
bit in that upbringing in terms of what you've seen in your father and what you've seen in your mother growing up in the young development years of your life.
Okay. What I've seen in my parents. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, what you seen modeled before you as a young man, and they really kind of gave you the desire, the creativity, the things that you see now in fruition,
Hmm.
but started way back. Some of the things and what
Got
you've
you.
seen there. So
Well, first and foremost, ever since I was a child, anytime, and your parents probably did the same thing, but anytime I seen something on the shelf that I wanted to buy or I wanted, my father always tell me, get a job, get a job. But later on, I realized that he worked for himself, and that's what I wanted to do, to be able to make your own hours, to do exactly what you want, make as much as you want, or whatever the case may be. So I thought I wanted to be a barber, but it wasn't the barber that I wanted, the barber lifestyle. It was the freedom, and it's also an art in that as well. So um, it was that, and then my mother, she's a seamstress. She does a lot of different things. So they always kind of instilled in me that you can be whatever you want, you can do whatever you want. And I've always been known to draw. Ever since I can remember, I was always sketching or drawing something. In the middle of the TV, laying on my stomach, drawing something, watching Channel 8 or whatever. But as I got older, my mother told me that eventually everything's gonna go to computers. So you might want to learn how to do it on computers. But in my head, I kind of assumed that I could never make a living to do that because everybody draws. You know, some of my friends I consider was better than me. So um, that's what I was up against. And I decided, you know what? The money is in architectural engineering technology, which is very similar. Not really, though. There's drafting and there's drawing. It's the left side of your brain and the right side of your brain. So after getting my degree, probably a month before I graduated from Nashville State with my degree, my father's customer, or one of his clients, wanted me to illustrate the book cover of one of his books. And I had a blast doing that. I learned a lot about myself. He had me come over his house and told me what the book was about. And I actually was going to do it for free because I love to do what you know what I'm saying? I love to create. But he told me, and it was very important when he told me this, he said, you need to value your work enough to put a price tag on it. I said, okay, cool. So I figured out how much I would charge. And from that point on, it just felt good to get paid doing what you love to do. And I think that's one of the keys of life, to be honest. Because if you love to do it, you'll never have to work again. So that opened the door for a lot of different things. So I credit not only the creator, but my parents as well. and then the people, my mentors and people in my life that taught me, different avenues, different ways of getting exactly what you want and working and getting it, whether it be school or whatever the case may be.
Wow, that's beautiful. Where do you
appreciate
get your creativity from?
I don't know. Next question. Where do I get it from? I like to meditate a lot and decide. I guess I get it from the Creator, but not only that, from life, from the
Okay.
spiritual journey. It could be from walking from here to the bus stop. You might see some colors, meet some people, shake some hands, and you get inspiration. Most of my inspiration came from when I was at MTSU, and I had a habit of, you'll see flyers and designs and stuff on the grounds, people drop flyers and stuff. And what I used to do is I'll pick up a flyer and I'll just look at it like, you know what? I like the design, I like the colors, the overlay, the type of paper stock, all of that. And when I got done with my schoolwork, I would go to the library and try to recreate it, but only different. So it might have some type of humor in it, some type of joke or whatever the case may be, but I would recreate it and change it up a little bit, and I'll post it, and people, they were like, oh, I love it, it's cool. And it might be like, I might have a little joke in there, maybe two rappers that happen to be beefing at the time, but it'll be on the flyer like they're doing a show. So most people, they laugh at it, but then they're like, this guy really loves what he does. He does this. So next thing you know, every semester when they taught me, here's how you do logos, there was 2 or 3 people outside of class saying, hey, I need somebody to do a logo. Next semester, teach you how to do flyers and websites. Well, there's 2 or 3 people that want me to create that as well. So by the time I graduated, I'm already running the business. My plan was never to work for Google or Yahoo or whatever the case may be. I'm pretty sure it's good money, but that was never my goal. So by the time I did leave, I was doing what I wanted to do. I just needed to scale it bigger, whether it be adding a clothing line, adding whatever, hiring people, interns, you name it. So.
Yeah. So how do you get the name Jester Art? Where does that come from, and how does that work into the vision as you grow and as you begin to expound and sort of expand your territory?
Well, okay, I've always, I wouldn't consider myself a comedian by any shot. I like to make light of most situations. So there was several situations where I would be hanging out with a friend and something happened where we weren't able to do what we wanted to do, whether it be play basketball, play the video games, or whatever. And I'm always thinking optimistically. What's the worst that could happen, right? So I'm thinking, well, at least we can do this. And I end up saying something in front of his mother, and everybody kind of laughed, but they was shocked, like he's looking at it totally different, kind of glass half empty type of situation. So I just like the way, I can look at something differently and have a different outcome. And plus, I've always liked the character, the Jester, because he's almost like a comedian. He's a comedian, he's an entertainer, but deeper than that, he's the closest one to the king. So he knows all the king's secrets. And sometimes, even though inside jokes, most jokes have truth in them, but some jesters were killed for telling too much truth. But just the fact that his job was to make light of situations in the kingdom, I love that. And even more than that, the jester was actually the one to eat before the king. I thought that was pretty cool until I found out it's because just in case they were going to poison the king, the jester would die. So, But besides that, that's why I decided to go with that. And when I go with something, I stick with it until it stops working. So for the past so many years, Jester Arts is just what it is.
Wow, that's beautiful.
I appreciate it.
Talk to me about, again, on that line of jester, because I think it's a good metaphor to life as well.
Right.
And many times when we look at the proverbs of life, proverbs can take a situation and then gather wisdom out of that. You're able to gather some wisdom. So as a jester or as a jester art, what do you see as a metaphor to today's life as a young black artist, entrepreneur, going through and sort of building the vision? How do you see that as the jester?
Oh, man, I get the hard questions. I thought you were going to ask me what my favorite color was.
Well, I heard you go deep, so I want you to go deep
Okay.
on me, brother.
Let me dissect the question.
Yeah.
You said the metaphor of the brand Jester. How would that be looked upon. And say it again.
Right. Yeah. So in other words, just as a gesture,
Right.
and I'm looking at metaphorically on as a young entrepreneur, black artist.
Yes, sir.
How do you put the spin on that to be positive when so many things it seems to shackle the vision and pull them astray and keep them from reaching that goal? What would the gesture? How would you apply
Okay,
that
got you.
to metaphorically?
Well, I will say this, and this is why comedians and people who do entertainment are so popular. But inside every joke, for the most part, I would say all of them, there's at least 10 to 15% of truth in it. So otherwise it wouldn't be funny. So I love the fact that I could put something out, and as long as I can make you laugh or add humor to it, it could have all the truth in the world. And if you laugh at it, that means you accept it and you understand that. So I guess it's kind of the veil of being able to say what you want, but being humorous at the same time. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
I do enjoy that. I do enjoy doing that. But just making light of the situations that's going on in the world, like, yes, there's some very serious things going on. But at the end of the day, there's so many different ways of looking at it. Are you going to take that negative energy and let it weigh you down? Or are you going to turn into a business? Or are you going to turn into some ideas or some type of inspiration? So I guess that's one way I look at that.
Okay. Yeah. So then, what's been some of your greatest metaphors or something that you put down that you created that gave a message, that had humor, but at the same time gave truth? Give me an example of something that you've presented that captivated and people say, hey, I get that, and they were able to capture it.
That's a good question, because it didn't start out like that. When I was in school, I would create something. I had this one design, this one image or a drawing, if you will,
Okay.
and it was a picture of a man sitting on a world, but he had two worlds in his hands. And he had a chain around his neck to go to a tie, a chain around his neck to go to a stopwatch, and a chain attached to a book. And when people look at it, they didn't really understand it in school. They was like, oh, that's cool, that's great, next. But it had a lot of meaning to it. It was what I was dealing with at the time. It was about balancing both worlds. It was about being chained down to not even chained down, but we're all slaves to at least three things. One of them was the chain down to the stopwatch. We're a slave to time. We can't change that. As much as we want to, we can't change that. A chain down to the tie. The tie was the business world, the 9 to 5, the hustle and bustle, whatever you want to call it. And it was chained down to the book. And while I'm not knocking religious aspects at all, because you can learn a lot from many books, but some people are so into one thing, they don't look around and realize there's other things out here that we should be focused on as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot going on. So it's images like that I use to pique people's interest, and now they're thinking all of a sudden. Because I like to enlighten people how I've been enlightened. My mentors in my life, they teach me something. I'm not gonna keep it to myself. I like to drop jewels because they gave it to me free, right? Or at least get people to use your brain, to think. That's all. I'm not saying what to do or what not to do. Just consider there's other ways. Or not even other ways, but there's other ways of looking at things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why art is art. There's so many different ways of looking at one thing.
Yeah. Well, you've opened my eyes just in the diagram that you just gave us with the chain tied to the tie, to the watch, and obviously to the book. And
Right.
I think it's so relevant even now in terms of just not just the book with me, maybe even the Word of God tied down to that when you don't take the pages out of the book and begin to live that, right?
Absolutely.
Begin to live and
Absolutely.
expound beyond that. Don't just read about it, but become it, right? To
Do
become
something.
that. Yeah,
Exactly.
do something. Exactly. So I definitely understand, and that's a great platform to spring from as a gesture. Because I'm sticking on that gesture because
Why not?
You've
Why not?
already got me pulled in, man, with this gesture.
Okay.
In terms of just being able to expound yourself. So what are some of the things that really resonate in your heart that you've learned from your mentors that have stuck with you? I mean, it's something that you've used as a platform to really help you, especially in times of difficulties and even in times of triumph. What are some of the things that you?
We don't have enough time for that.
Yeah, well, that's why I said this is the Michael
Ooh.
Jordan highlight reel. So you got to hit it hard, and but
Okay.
something that's really very pivotal in your life, and it seems to give some breath to areas that you seem to be running out of breath, and it kind of helped you along the way.
Okay. Well, not even just mentors, but I listen to a lot of motivational speakers. So, quick example. I know he's getting a lot of flack at this point in his life, but Steve Harvey, he had a video. He has a video that I've watched so many times just to remind me that people like him started from the bottom of the bottom, where it was when he first got his first paycheck for comedy, he got paid like $50, and he decided, I'm quitting my job. This is what I want to do for life. It didn't work out immediately. Supposedly he was homeless for like 3 years, and there's a lot of other actors and comedians and rappers, whatever, that went through that same process. If you want something bad enough, you have to be willing to sacrifice, whether it be hanging out with your friends as much, sometimes hanging out with your family as much. Sometimes the people you hang around, you need to cut those people off. Because if you hang around if you hang around 9 broke people, you're going to be the 10th. And I'm not knocking people without money, but obviously you are who you hang around. So my mentors, they tell me a lot of different things, whether it be things that they've dealt with on their journeys. So every month, I speak to one of them, and he'll tell me, so what's going on in your life? What are you dealing with now? And some of the things I tell him, he's already done. So he's like, okay, try this. Have you looked into this? And the main thing that he's told me over time was not to be so concerned and worried about what's in your face. Because last year I was afraid of dealing with this over here. He was like, you're gonna figure that out. This year, I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about this. So it's always gonna be something. So you gotta want it bad enough to be able to get through it. You know, hang around people who are doing that or better, you know, things like that.
Yeah. Wow, that's good. That's beautiful.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. So
Just being real.
yeah, no, and that's really I think the realness of it all too is that you can survive by being real. Right?
Yeah.
You don't have to fake it, as some would say, till you make it, but you can actually
I don't
operate.
think so.
And yeah, you can. It's a whole new day, especially with entrepreneurs and the creativity. I'm always impressed with the creativity when you begin to remove the chains, as you would say.
Right.
And it just flows. It's more of about not necessarily what you do, but what you connect to. Energy. It's like energy that's in this room now. You know, there's many outlets here, and if you plug into it, it lights up what is plugged into it.
It's great.
And so it's just beautiful when you can be still and connect with that energy. With me, has always been an energy that comes from the Father. Creativity. He created us. You know, he created in his image and likeness, and he did it without a book. Yeah, he did it without a book. So it's
Yes, sir.
amazing how you do that. Tell me what's one of the most challenging part of being an entrepreneur, and the craft and what it takes to overcome some of those challenges. And are those challenges the same as they were yesterday, or are they different today when you start out?
That's a really good question, because many entrepreneurs have different challenges,
Right.
and we often have the same ones. One of mine that I struggle with at this very point is perfection. Somebody might get me to do a design, a flyer, website, or whatever the case may be, and it might should only take 2 hours to do. But the more I learn about different ways of making this better, they might have only paid for this, but it might be a 2-hour project and I took 5 hours. Now, I don't know if it's not a bad thing, but time-wise, it can be. Do that to 6 or 7 different projects, you've missed 2-3 days. So that would be one of the things I struggle with from time to time. And being different. Like, there's going to be, even as of right now, there's somebody working twice as hard to do what I do and better as of right now. So it's, even though it's not a competition, at the end of the day, I want to be better than I was last year and the year before that. So that's what I struggle with, making sure that I'm better than I was yesterday. So even though I'm out of school, I still have to constantly educate myself, whether it be YouTube videos, whether it be Linda, whether it be learning from other people that already do it. Because you don't just get it, oh, you figured out how to do it now. No, because that's how they did it then. It's time to evolve. What's the next level? What's going to make you different from the next person? Because somebody else does graphics just like me. What makes me different from them? You know, my brand is different from a lot of brands. I use the same colors. I use the same type of schematics, the same or whatever, and sometimes I switch it up. But a lot of people, when they see my designs, they're like, oh, I can tell this is just the arts. I don't know how, but they got used to my same style, and they come back for that, which I love it.
Wow.
I like to be their personal graphic designer. So they feel like, oh, I have a connection, which you do. So it's a beautiful thing.
That's awesome. I mean, when you put yourself into a project or into an image, I mean, I always think about God placing his image inside of us. And it's the perfection always go back to the creator, not the image itself. And so if they can recognize you through an image, then you show that that really is truly the perfected part of it. I know it's a challenge. I had a gentleman on once, and he said he envies the sleep that robs him of doing his vision.
Wow.
Man, that's a passion, man. When you
That's deep.
so
Envy is sleep.
it's amazing when you are called to something, when you line up with something, when you know that it's your purpose
Right.
and your destiny, and you are it. That you're unique by itself because it's you. You know,
True.
it's your handprint. You know, it's definitely your landmark, your earmark on everything you touch is going to be unique because it's coming from you. Even if it looked like it, there's something else inside of it, and I call it spirit.
Right.
Spirit is amazing, and that's what I want to get to now in terms of your creativity is where do you see your vision from here? Where do you see it going, and what direction, and how it's expanding as a vision?
Okay, cool. Well, as many entrepreneurs have, 1 year goal, 5 year goal, 10 year goal plus. My goal as of right now is to be known in different states. I already have clients in Texas, several clients in Louisiana. I just had a client in New York, New Jersey, and a record company. I'm actually doing a lot of graphics for them too. So it's just about scaling it up in the bigger sense. And eventually, I'm going to need help to hire more people to do what I do, whether it be because I do not only graphics, flyers, photography, but let's say I need more photographers that have the same eye as me. So even if I'm not there, I'm still there. So that in the next, let's say, 5 years, I plan to be a lot bigger where I can be traveling state to state every other weekend, whether it be just shaking people's hands. Hey, I'm the person that's been doing your graphics for so many years, or something of that sort. Just being able to be a lot more mobile, because even though I'm an introvert, I enjoy being in my own studio creating. I enjoy that, but if you do that too much, you miss out on the interactions, and you can learn from different people. You know, so just being more out there.
Yeah. Wow,
out
that's
there.
beautiful. That's beautiful. I know that one of the things about creativity too is being able to encounter or engage others. I've gotten a lot of my creativity just now, just talking with you. It expounds. It helps me to grow. And when I say that, to say is, what do you see in terms of discipleship, discipling, or at least being able to, as you say, replicate yourself or duplicate yourself? How are you doing that, and what are you doing in that terms of?
Okay, cool. Well, a lot of people that contact me, they have an idea, and we all get at least $4 million ideas a year. You just got to be able to capitalize on them. So when they contact me, they're like, "Hey, I have an idea. I want to have my own business, my shirt company, or whatever the case may be." So when it comes to discipleship, I tell the clients what their best idea, well, not even best idea, but their direction. I help out with different people's direction, different ideas, different, you name it. some of the people I hang out with the most, they're working on something. So if I can be there to help them out, even better. You know, whether it be some of the guys from MTSU, they're like, I'm trying to do graphic arts. You already do that. What was your hardest thing to do? What is your next step? What would you suggest? So at the end of the day, I do want to help out people, whether they are a lot younger than me or people coming up behind me.
Yeah.
You know, but a lot of people don't do that because they're afraid of competition. What if this person, you know? But if you love what you do, you're never going to stop it, right? So you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. Is that what
Shouldn't.
motivates you? I mean, it's good that you have that perspective, because many times they are shielded because of the fear of someone taking their brand or taking their image or taking their profit and so forth. But you feel as though that's not even a threat to your vision or a threat to what you do. Where does that come from?
My motivation, that's partially part of the motivation, because while you're loafing and hanging out, somebody else is working twice as hard. So that's part of it, but mainly I have people looking up to me, whether it be family members, brothers and sisters and things like that. So at all times, I'm trying to show, I'm created to create. So I want to show the creator inside of me, because they're looking up to me like, yo, you're supposed to be this, right? What's happening? Well, I have to put in work. So that's motivation in itself. In itself, it is. You know, so it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Awesome. I've always said that people want to be diamonds but don't want to be cut.
Ooh.
And it's a process, brother. It's a process.
Thanks.
And as that process, your value, the deeper the cut, the greater the value. And it's just amazing how when we begin to put ourselves on the assembly line of what I call God's presence. And you said something powerful about being created to create.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
That's beautiful, man, because when you recognize that and know that, nothing can interfere. Nothing.
Yeah, I got to copyright that real quick.
Yeah. So that's it's beautiful, man. Last word of encouragement. Last word for those who are pursuing their dreams and those who are found themselves maybe lost along the way, man. What words of encouragement?
Well, I would say the same thing I tell a lot of people that ask me the same question. Find what it is that you love, that you don't mind doing for free for the rest of your life. If you can find that, you'll never have to work again. And find a way to get paid from it. Find your passion. Follow your dreams.
Wow, that's awesome.
Appreciate that.
Stay focused, man. Awesome job. Awesome.
Appreciate that.
Man, no, I appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you. You're good, man. I don't know if you're an introvert.